In this week's episode, we talk about Mercury stationing retrograde. He will be stuck here at 25 degrees of Libra for 6 days. So reflect on relationships. That's a R-E word with an R-E word. We also bring in that Sun trine Saturn on Wednesday to Glory, working together on a common purpose. So if you want to hear more, tune into this episode of Astrological Intentions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, and the lush lady in front of me, Sandy Reevy.
Hi, everybody. And Alex, I know where this is headed, or how this is fluctuating.
And it is episode 166, September 27th. Let's get right into it. In the transits today, Mercury stations retrograde.
Reflect on relationships.
And Wednesday, September 29th, Venus trine Neptune.
Let go of resentments.
Sun trine Saturn.
To Glory.
And Thursday, September 30th, Venus square Jupiter.
Going overboard. Ching.
And Sunday, October 3rd.
That's Mercury trine Jupiter. Strip poker, anyone?
And in Talisman times, Sandy has finished up to gain income through connections, as well as 2 upcoming talismans to build gracious relationships with siblings and to work on a lucrative project with a friend. Also, we're going to announce our new talisman of the month, so stay tuned. And on the horizon, we will be discussing our October astrology forecast as well as our 7-day intention challenge coming up. Then in our house, I'm back from Maine and want to share some of my stories. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
And so you finally know you control where you go.
Hello, lush lady.
Lush.
So should we share
so
this
funny.
story now?
Yeah,
or
let's do
okay.
that now.
So you start because you're a
So,
great storyteller.
With the sun moving into Libra and all these planets moving into Libra, it was like, you know what? I'm going to take some key here and start I've been using beautify, take care of my appearance. Up it a little bit, right? So, and I've been using those eyelash filters on my Instagram posts.
Oh, right,
which some
right.
people, are like, all right, lose those. But if I don't have them on, it means I have to put makeup on. So I decided to lose that filter and to put my own eyelashes on. Somebody had bought me, these magnetic eyelashes. So I started doing that a couple days ago. And we were going out to dinner. Your boyfriend's family's in town.
Right.
And she always wears her eyelashes, his mom. And I thought, I'm going to wear my false eyelashes too. So I got up early in the morning and I had some events to do. So I thought, I'm going to put my eyelashes on early. And I put one on and it was fine. And the other one, I'm like, okay, fine. This looks strange, but okay. And I went about my day.
Right.
This is like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right. And so I came over.
About 3.
Yeah, in the afternoon. And we needed to do a little bit of work before heading out to dinner. And I approached you. And as we were talking, I'm like, man, there is something very different between these two eyes. And I'm trying to figure it out, like look deeply through your glasses. And, mid-conversation, I erupt in laughter.
Yes.
I cannot handle it. And you're just like,
what?
You had been explaining to me, like, man, I never have to take naps throughout the day, but like there's something wrong with my eye. And I think like I'm just really tired.
Yeah.
And I keep laughing. I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, I can't talk.
And finally I tell you, Mom, it's because you put your lash upside down. So, you know how you have the concave going up with lashes?
Sweep up. Beautiful.
They sweep up. This one, your natural eyelashes were sweeping up, but then the lash was like coming down as if it were a wave onto your other one. So you just had this like mouth like lash. And it was loud and aggressive.
Once you told me that, it was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. It feels like I can't see through this thing. It's like,
It was like
veil over my left eye. And I'm like, man, that's when I had, gotten my new lens put in. And I'm like, what is wrong with this eye? Well, I'm going to keep trudging through. I got work to do. It was hilarious.
Oh my gosh. So good.
You pop it off and pop it on the right way. And it's like, I can see again.
Right. Thank goodness it was magnetic. Because it was
Thank
just
God
like,
I
whoop.
didn't go out. Thank God you came over earlier and I didn't go out like that. Oh my God. Anyway.
Well, can we add to this Lash Lush
Yes.
lady story? Because I come over this morning and we're having our coffee upstairs on the top deck, enjoying the sun. And all of a sudden, we're still laughing about this story, but again, it happens. I erupt in laughter. You have no idea. I had to walk over to you, grab your hand, and reach towards your hair so that you could grab it out of your hair yourself. There was a lash in your hair. You just have them everywhere. And it's just
so
too
funny.
good.
I'm
it's
like,
too
it's
good.
not the magnetic ones.
It wasn't the magnetic one, so I don't
took
even
them
know.
off last night. So now I've got and it was like full of glue and it was like bent and it's like, oh my God, like where is that? And I washed my hair, so I knew it wasn't there for a while.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, it was probably from the hairband that I put on that it was stuck to. That's what I'm going to say.
But way too funny.
So,
okay.
Yeah, lash.
Lash Lush lady. So let's go direct to
in.
all of you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I do want to shout out to Allison Ramsey of Empire Life Academy. She added us and our podcast to
lovely. She's an awesome woman.
To her top female podcasters. And I mean, we are on the list with some really amazing podcasts that I just feel so excited to share with you all. So head over to our social media. You can go to Intention Beads or Astrological Intentions and you'll see the post. So check out our podcast. Remember to give us these 5 stars because that's how people are going to find out about us, just like this, Empire Life. They're going to see those 5 stars and give us a try.
Yeah, and hopefully that eyelash story doesn't bump us off anywhere.
I don't know. I'm
flips
sure
us upside down. I don't know.
Lashes can be so difficult. Any listeners out there that do put on false eyelashes, remember when you were first starting, because you're first starting now at this.
Because you always would put mine on if I needed them. Yeah.
So you're now starting to try to put them on yourself, and it's just everyone has felt.
You know what? It's like your first tampon experience. Sorry. Everyone has the story.
Well, yes. And you also, you have a lash story too, because it's just like you're trying to get ready and you're like, I want to look awesome. I want these lashes to be like ba-bam. But when you don't know how to do it and you're trying to put it on, the glue is like dripping down the side of your face. You're like having to pull them on and off and they're not sticking anymore. The inner corner is like pointed up towards your forehead. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is brutal. Why did I even think that this was a good idea? But anyway, just want to go direct to you all. Thank you so much for all of your feedback. Remember to email me, alex@intentionbeads.com. If you have any comments, commentary, we just send it all over to us. Let's move in the transits. We have today, Monday, September 27th, Mercury stations retrograde.
Yep. It's time for Mercury, the planet of communication and deal making and merchant services, in Libra at 25 degrees of Libra, to really reflect on relationships. Now, it gets stuck here for 6 days. Now, this is Monday. This is really, it happened around midnight. So we wake up, we go to bed on Sunday night with it stationed, and then we wake up and it's retrograde. So he's beginning his backward trickery passage. So ask yourself every day until October 17th, what is the meaning of relationships in my life? And watch to see if that changes or goes into a deeper understanding.
Okay.
Right? So
yeah, and
really
I think,
interesting.
those readjustments are really helpful. And as we teach on this podcast, all of the retrograde is all those RE words that you have to redo something, you have to readjust, you have to, what are some other ones?
Well, like that.
Reflect.
It's like, that's why I said it's reflect on relationships.
Here we go.
Yeah, and because it's at this 25 degrees of Libra, it's sitting right on the fixed star Spica or Spica, however you want to say it. So it's a brilliant time to move forward in that. What is my role in the relationship? And this doesn't necessarily mean just a marriage relationship or an intimate boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. It can be mother-daughter.
Right.
Hello over there.
Yeah.
It could be neighbors. It's all relationships.
Right.
Right. With your children, with
your coworkers.
Your coworkers,
and
your
sometimes
siblings.
it's so funny, even with coworker, relationship, it reflects family dynamics as well, because, there's like this parental feeling with bosses. There's this camaraderie of like sibling relationship with your coworkers. So it's just so interesting that there's so much reflected in that. So yeah, take a minute and ask yourself those questions, reflect on those relationships.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you can't sign contracts, although, Mercury retrograde, it gets the blame for so many of the failures or lemons or closed doorways.
Or just even sometimes inappropriate behavior. Well, Mercury's in retrograde,
And blaming it on that. And I mean, you can go ahead and blame it on if that feels good to you. But this is a time to pause, right? It is a time to kind of step back.
Right.
Another
RE word, responsibility. I think that people do need to reflect on taking their own responsibility for their actions. That's a good one.
Right. So, and things can be delayed because the planet, the trickery, Mercury, Hermes, who was the winged messenger, but he was able to climb out of his cradle at birth and go trick,
master trickster
Apollo, stealing his cattle and making these first sandals out of branches and trees and leaves and things, so that when he was going forward, it appeared he was going backwards.
Right, with the cattle.
Hooves of the cattle. So he's a tricker. He's a trickster.
Yeah. So let's move on. For Wednesday, September 29th, we have 2 transits. The first one, Venus trine Neptune.
Let go of resentments. There's another RE word. This is, Wednesday. This happens around 21 degrees of this Scorpio and this Pisces. And it's a trine. So it should be easy to have this true understanding of self-love versus, loving another. There's an evening out. Now, when I was writing this, because Venus in Scorpio can be, it's debilitated here. So it can be very jealous oriented or obsessive. There's an intensity with Venus, which Venus does rule love, does rule relationships. So here we get a big dose, 2 days later on this Wednesday, of what the Mercury retrograde is symbolizing. And getting in, and literally when I was writing this, I asked the lady in the black box over here in the corner, to play the Amy Winehouse song "Tears Dry on Their Own."
Yes, and I think it's "Back to Black" is the actual name of that song.
No.
Alexa,
play "Tears Dry on Their Own." Of course, I might be wrong.
Tears Dry on Their Own by Amy Winehouse.
Oh, you're right.
On Alexandra's Spotify.
Alexa, stop.
All I Can Be to You, right? It's actually a good song, and I know that we can't play it.
There's copyright.
We'll be getting off of the Empire.
No, so now there's bots that listen to podcasts and can decipher whether or not the material that you're, you've recorded is copywritten or not. So yeah, there's there's a lot of limitations. However, let's move to the next transit, Sun trine Saturn.
To glory. Again, this has a reception, another RE word, because, and what I mean by reception is it's actually the Sun is in Libra, making a trine to Saturn retrograde. Now he's getting ready to station. We'll talk about that when it happens in the next couple weeks. But if we think about this, the Sun in Libra trine Saturn, Saturn is exalted in Libra. So this is a reception because it literally has that Saturn is welcoming the Sun into his exaltation. Now, because the Sun, if you think about it, Sun here is in its fall. So they're working together on a common purpose as individuals. So again, it's like, how do we get to this glorified place that has structure, but we have to work together?
Okay.
As individuals, as two separate people that have a common goal. So there has to be purposeful execution here, which actually is pretty nice when you think about having the support of and trusting in something and leaning in on something, as long as you have you have a stable back.
Right.
Right.
And you
like
have a
back to
foundation
back.
and an individual.
Oh, it doesn't.
This is so, you're like speaking to me. I don't know if anyone else out there is listening to this and like, it's totally, this week is right on. So was last week and the one before, but this one is like so important.
Yeah. And having these areas where it's like, yeah, I can do that. No, yeah, no problem. You know what? That is workable. I can set my expectations
And to have the goal.
And work that through. And I'm excited about it.
Right. Totally.
Right? Because when we can work together, we can be together.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we can live and cry and laugh and be in joy together. So that's why I called this To Glory.
Yes, to glory.
And
then,
you know, if we sorry to interrupt here, because if anyone has followed my Rapunzel story, can anyone out there, I mean, this Rapunzel story, I am watching clients,
right,
going through the entire story of Rapunzel. Like, this is happening on this date. Yep.
right. The plot twists.
Yep.
The
you feel alone.
the shifts.
So and so, like, right. So it's just really interesting. And this storyline on this day is, she is so happy that tears burst from her eyes and fall into his eyes, and this clears up his blindness and he can see again.
And tears dry on their own.
And tears dry on their own. And
full circle.
so there's so much compatibility around this Wednesday. But you're together, but you're separate.
Right.
Right.
And I
like
think
that.
that's a Jungian type of methodology of two halves do not make a whole, especially when it comes to relationships. Like two half of people, like if you aren't a whole person, you do not make a whole in a relationship. You will actually make a quarter, because it takes two whole people to come together in order to make a relationship whole. So totally true. Yes. So Thursday, September 30th, Venus squared Jupiter.
Going overboard.
Okay.
Now, this is a square.
We're a little bit too much glory.
Well, these are the two benefics. And the benefics, they're not in their happiest places, but they're in a square, which can cause a little bit of over pushing or overdoing, or maybe you thought that the earlier part of this week was going to produce something by this Thursday, in a 4-day period. Right. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Are we done yet? It's like, whoa. Let's calm down. Everything and everyone is in, but maybe it's too much. Maybe we're having too many big experiences. So do things in moderation. Yeah. Right. Because as long as you have the common purpose, and maybe part of that common purpose is, hey, me as an individual, if one person's late and the other person's early, and that doesn't mesh, where it's like, how about you don't have to be always on time, but can you let me know when you are running late? So it's you don't have to go like completely overboard.
It's a good day for compromise.
But moderation,
Okay.
kind of coming together.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, making sure you're doing the overgiving to the right form, right? Because really, like I said, going overboard, maybe, but not really. When can you really go overboard, right? It's like, but again, this is part of the story where the Rapunzel's family and the prince rejoin together as a family. And because, she went and had twins in the woods after she was...
I don't think a lot of people know that part of the story because that's the...
And they were joyfully received and welcomed by the festive banquets, and they lived happily ever after.
Yeah. I think
And this is the
normally
last
Disney will
day.
take the happily ever after when they like have their first kiss,
But that's the Thursday, this Thursday or the 30th that we're talking about is the last transit of this month. And it ends as everybody in, everybody like it, maybe the party, the celebration, the banquet.
Cool.
Maybe there's just way too much food as they would during the medieval times of celebrating, of drink and people laying around.
That too.
So that's what I meant about a festive banquet.
Okay.
So anyway, that ends the Rapunzel story. Now
Yep.
for October,
Right.
I did not write
No.
or connect to a...
And that was a special bonus.
Yeah.
So Sunday, October 3rd, Mercury retrograde trine Jupiter.
Strip poker, anyone?
Okay. Tell me more about this one.
Maybe this is the couple day after the banquet.
It's a banquet bender.
This is really, what do you need to remove that allows you to show more? And this could be a metaphor, right? This is a symbolic... we got Mercury as retrograde, and he's making a trine to Jupiter. So there's something about redetailing something that's big. So it's like, is there anything that you need to expose maybe? And I'm calling strip poker.
Right.
But it's kind of like, your turn, my turn.
Showing your cards.
Showing your cards, showing a little bit of vulnerability. Something about, I'm embarrassed about this, but you know what? The only way to repair RE is having Mercury feeling comfortable enough to take a big step forward by removing something that allows more to show.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you a little bit?
Yeah.
Because we do have to expose something of ourselves in order to be into a relationship of how do you really feel about this? Because sure, everything is fine is not what should be happening right now. We got Venus and Pluto. We got Mercury retrograde in the sign of relationships. Venus is making a trine to Neptune, right? About releasing things, letting things slide off backs, tears dry on their own. And Sun making that trine to Saturn is like, we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
We are solid.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's move into talisman times because you finished one to gain income through connections.
I am overflowing with love and support from everyone I know. Fortunately, my project, product, and story floats through those supporters in order to gain more followers. This is Moon being enclosed by the benefics. Like when I can get this is just a period when the Venus is in a position. And then the Moon comes back around and I can enclose. That just sounds just exactly what it is. It's like an Oreo cookie,
Yeah.
an ice cream sandwich,
Yum.
where the Moon is in the center and the two benefics are on either side, and it's just a nice enclosure.
It's a big hug.
It's a big hug. Yeah.
And upcoming, we have two, both on Saturday, October 2nd. The first, to build gracious relationships with siblings.
We are family, and we each know our places within this circle. I elevate my position as one of the important roles here, and everyone follows in their suits.
In their suits. This is a formal event. No, I understand. Yeah.
with what they have available.
And being
right?
who they are. And I
Right,
like
yeah.
that message.
In
you
their
know.
skin, we could
Yes,
say.
yes.
Right? I could say in their birthday suits. But this is a Sagittarius rising with Jupiter making the opposition. Well, the moon is making the opposition to the ruler of the chart and also making an aspect to Venus. So this is not an enclosure, but moon is making an opposition to Jupiter and then making a square to Venus. All boom, boom.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so it's happening,
and
I guess.
The reason why it's about siblings is because the Jupiter is in the third house is siblings.
Mm.
Yeah.
And also that same day to work on a lucrative project with a friend. Does this have the same similar structure?
At this point, the moon has moved away from the opposition to Jupiter. So now it's just making the square to Venus. And Venus here is at the top of the chart in the 10th house of career. So this is about a lucrative project. My income increases simply by introducing a benefactor into the mix. Together, this plan works better and is sure great to have an expert involved with me.
Mm.
And the word expert comes from the rising sign of Aquarius, where Saturn is sitting in the first house. So it's about getting expert, authoritative advice or leaning into it to gain it. The 11th house of friends and benefactors is involved because it is ruled by Sagittarius.
Mm.
So, yeah, this is, is it to work on a lucrative project with a friend, a collaborator, a benefactor, about someone else. It's about working with someone else. I wrote friend, but I think we'll see what the energy is when I'm making this bracelet because the spirit will tell me, do I use friend, collaborator, benefactor?
Mm-hmm.
What word do I use? Right now I'm in a quandary.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to announce to all of our listeners we have a new Talisman of the Month since we have October coming up this week. And I'll announce it here because all of our podcasters get a whole lot of first listens,
First things.
first plans, first news. And this one was created by you January 17th of 2021. And the intention is to know the difference between spiritual and worldly riches.
Mm.
And I think that's really because we need both to operate in this world, right?
And here's the reason why I picked it. Mercury is retrograde most of this month. For the first 17 days, Mercury is retrograde. And just as Mercury comes out of his retrograde cycle at this time, Jupiter comes out of his retrograde cycle. So there's two major
movements,
shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that I picked this talisman is to see the difference now that we've been in this retrograde cycle with Jupiter. What benefits? What are our worldly riches?
Mm-hmm.
What are the material riches? What are the spiritual riches? Jupiter rules that, and having Mercury in retrograde, and they're both coming out of it on the same day. Come on, right? So this talisman, and of course our talisman, we do one a month, and that I have one. So that's these sell fast because I'm doing a small little intro.
Right, to
offer,
kind of feature it.
Offer,
yes.
Yeah,
And so let's
lower in price.
Let's read the affirmation. I hold these and all the riches of the universe. These are what I hold on in my hand of the material matter and what I feel surrounding me. I have them all.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is. It's a feeling of abundance. Jupiter's going to want us to feel that. And, Mercury kind of knowing the communication or the thought process of which one to use,
Mm-hmm.
how to communicate your gratitude for the spiritual riches and the worldly riches that you do have.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I just wanted to announce that October 1st, it will be live on the site as a Talisman of the Month. It is available right now on the website, but if you wait till October 1st, it will be discounted and you get that free shipping credit. So
Yeah,
and it's
a
automatic.
special offer. We'll call it a special offer.
Special offer. Yep.
Nothing is discounted. It's a special offer.
Special offer. There you go. Okay, so let's move on the horizon. We are sold out for the Mexico retreat with Sandy.
Yeah.
Sandy Sola. Only Sandy. January 1st to January 8th. That is in La Paz, Mexico. All of you who are listening in, who are going to be joining us, or I say us, joining Sandy on the retreat. So excited. We will be sending out all of the information, the resource packets, everything soon. So stay tuned for that. And let's move on to October 2nd, where we are having our astrology forecast for October. This is when Sandy and Susan get together on Facebook Live and give you all the details. Every
it's
day,
up this weekend.
Their favorites, their everything for the month of October. And available now is the cheat sheet, which is the printable PDF that has all of those dates and Sandy and Susan's like really poignant phrases of what that transit means.
It's always interesting. So I start it, right? I write them all out and then pass it over to Susan. And then she adds her line. And then just getting it back and reviewing it and going, oh my God, just how different astrologers can read that same energy. Whether, we don't disagree, but we come at it from a different perspective. And it's so cool.
Right. And I think, but that's even not even that differs from person to person. You can speak with somebody about going
eating chocolate
skydiving.
Cake. Yeah.
Skydiving. And somebody's like, it changed my life. It was amazing. It was a spiritual moment. And then there could be the person who says, I peed my pants. I was scared.
I was thinking something else, but pants. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was terrified and I'll never do it again. And it made me scared of the world, or scared of dying. Yeah. So it could be totally opposite the way that people experience the world. And I think it is really interesting to get the value of those two perspectives, because then you get to find out where you fit in the middle or who you agree with.
Can I just give a little example?
Sure.
So I'm just looking at this last day of September that's coming in on Thursday, the 30th, that's involved in this week. And I write in the cheat sheet, and this is that day where we talked about Venus making a square to Jupiter, the two benefics together. And I write, going overboard, ? Maybe, but not really. Susan writes, troubles with the abundance of money, make adjustments. Right? So very, very interesting. Same energy, just how we conceive and write about it. And Susan will lean into the financial part of it because she's a financial astrologer. That's her niche.
Right.
Right. So again, I say going overboard and she's saying, troubles with abundance. Right. So same
right.
kind of.
And
so
it makes sense.
And it's what is so interesting. So these are like 4 pages of a whole month of, and if you're trying to learn astrology a little bit, this is an excellent way to follow the energy and to see. We show the glyphs, we put the degrees in. You can adjust it to your natal chart. Should you know your natal chart, meaning at least your sun sign and what degrees that is, and if it's aspecting anything. Anyway, I moderating
digress
today. Yes.
Okay. So next, I wanted to also discuss October 16th through the 22nd. We have our 7-day intention challenge that will be being announced very shortly. So there is a link. If you are not signed up for our mailing list yet, now is the time, because this is a free 7-day event and it's open to everyone. It's really special. You get this amazing guidance from Sandy on what it's like setting up your day every single day with intention.
And this is at 10 a.m. for about 30 to 35, 40 minutes, 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. This will be our fourth one. I had somebody reached out to me and said, I think I'm going to sign up for your 7-day intention challenge. I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
So I found that really interesting. It's like, there's just some people, right? Like maybe the fixed sign people that have to prepare, right? They're
Right.
like, let me think about, no, I'm not ready. Oh, you're having it now? Oh, I think I'm ready.
Right. Or people who are so busy that are like, oh, that's just one more thing that's going to be on my checklist and I don't want to be adding anything else to it. And I will challenge you here.
It's a challenge.
Because it is a challenge. It's important. It's so important. If we can set ourselves up, that checklist will always be full, especially if you keep adding to it. But how you start your day off is also incredibly important, and that will determine how things get done and what gets done. The most important things, and how do you go about that? How do you drop your kids off in the morning, or how do you conduct a meeting with your peers? I mean, how you do things is very important.
Yeah.
So
do you wake up bubbly?
Right.
And having a plan, purpose, and an intention, because we set intentions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we would love to have you sign up for the mailing list, and you'll be one of the first to get the sign up emails.
Yeah, and it's on Zoom, by the way. I'm
yes,
sure
it's all
figures
digital.
that.
Yes. Finally, I also want to announce that we have our She Beads Fall collection. So this is the original bead company that Sandy started out of our basement, back in the day, in the 90s. And we bring this back up on our website to commemorate all of the work and the artistry of Millefiori, but also because we have so many customers that still ask for she beads. They still have
and
them. And he beads. Of course, we don't forget about the guys. But
and it's a way to bring back my artisans too,
right?
And because I'm the one that makes the talismans. No
right.
artisan makes that except for me. But it's a way to bring back my my trained artisans that I've trained for the last 30-something years.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you want to check out the fall collection, they are two very beautiful
I love them.
Collections. The first one is Violet. And Violet is a down-to-earth walnut brown with positively purple bouquets of flowers inspired by the autumn violets. The violet symbolizes faith and modesty, and actually monks of the Middle Ages referred to this little flower as the Trinity flower because of its 3 distinct colors. Violets can calm the nerves, draw prophetic dreams and visions, stimulate creativity, and promote peace and tranquility. That is Violet.
And this card goes in each of the
right.
of the orders.
Yes. I wrote these little descriptions.
Yeah.
I did all the research on the flowers. And so the next one is Belle, inspired by the bluebell. A dramatic depth of matte black with vibrant blues, bright whites, and verdant greens. Known for its elegant grace and delectable sweet scent, the bluebell is a symbol of humility, consistency, gratitude, and everlasting love. Thanks to its sensual and tempting characteristics, poets mention bluebells in many poems to define beauty. So,
aside a personal comment on that.
Yep.
That we are welcoming in 2022 a new family member who my nephew, your cousin, is marrying a girl by the name of Belle.
Yes.
So
it's so perfect.
We are welcoming her with her own named collection.
Yes. So, of course, check out the She Beads Fall collection up on the Intention Beads site. That link is in the description, or just head over to intentionbeads.com and you'll see it there on the banner. This is only available in limited quantities and for a limited time.
Also, we have some one-of-a-kind pieces up there.
Yes, check those out.
Interesting. The one you just made with the big silver cuff, the sterling silver cuff with a piece of clay in the side of it. That's awesome.
Yes.
So there's one of those. There's some couture pieces I made, bracelet, earring set, one of a kinds. There's some triple
And
necklaces.
we can talk more about more about that next week.
Okay.
So let's move into our house. I am back from Maine, and I want to share some stories.
Go ahead. Did you do everything I told you to do?
No. Isn't that what you always want to tell your mom? No. So it was a jam-packed weekend. We did 2 of the boat tours. Yes, I did pack my Dramamine. Yes, there was no, motion sickness or anything. The first boat that we went on, it was such a foggy day. It's funny because in the morning, my boyfriend and I woke up really early because we wanted to watch the sunrise.
That's like at 4:30 in the morning there.
No, it was at like 6 o'clock.
Oh,
so it wasn't bad. So we headed out to the dock because it's a boat town, and the fog was crazy. It was, like you could taste it type. And so it was just kind of there. We were, enjoying our little coffee, and but the sun, it just got brighter. We couldn't tell. But it was really cool because when boats actually would be coming into the dock, I mean, that's so early or late, however you want to think about it. But they were coming into the dock, but it was like they were coming out of this fog, and all of a sudden this boat was appearing. It was so interesting. So fast forward throughout
it's like having
that day.
a Neptune transit.
Right, totally. And throughout that day, it warmed up, and the fog burned off. It turned out to be this really beautiful sunny day. And right around the time we needed to get on the boat for the harbor tour, fog came back in hard. So we were driving around on this big boat with a bunch of people, and
Is it called trolling around, or is it just driving around?
cruising around? I don't know. Boating around?
I'm sure there's a term for it. We're not like driving around.
Tooting around? I don't know. So,
what is it? Somebody help us.
I don't know.
Because I don't think it's tooting around. Wouldn't
No.
that kind of be like a train?
Oh,
Toot,
yes.
toot.
No, but I mean,
Okay.
anytime we would be leaving the harbor,
you're
coming back,
gliding around.
you
You're
hear
sailing around.
Yes, we were sailing around the harbor. That's where we were supposed to see, some of the wildlife. We passed 2 lighthouses. It turned out even better than I expected, especially when we could see the lighthouses. While we were on the boat, to the left, to the right, to the front, it was all fog.
You didn't know if there was land.
We
or
couldn't
nothing.
we probably were just going in circles in the dock. We had no idea. And all of a sudden we would come by these lighthouses, and just like those boats in the morning, it would just like all of a sudden appear out of the mist. And just really very cool, very mystical, misty. Luckily we did bring like our rain jackets because we just got like a humidity shower. And
but that is exactly what a lighthouse is for.
Right.
Like there's land here.
They weren't operational. I think that they normally are, but we were tooting around during the day. So yeah, and we got to walk around the town. It's kind of like a lazy boat town where everyone knows everyone. I will honestly say I think my brother might be the honorary mayor there, because wherever, like, we would go into like the popcorn shop, or we would go into a little retail shop, and they say, oh, where are you coming from Chicago, and Rocco would say like, I'm from Mexico, and they'd be like, wow, that's so cool. And I would share a little bit more and say, I'm here visiting my brother, who is the head pro over at Booth Bay Harbor Country Club. Andrew! So it was just so great. I
had that same experience. It was like, you're Andrew's mom? And people would get up from, like when we would walk to dinner and we would get seated, Andrew's like hugging, how men hug, knock, knock, or whatever they do, and everybody at the front door. And we would get seated, and as we're going to our seats, people are going, Andrew, I'll come by and say hi. And people are staring at me like, who am I? And finally, people were coming over, are you Andrew's mom? And Andrew's like, yeah, oh, mom, meet blah, blah, blah. He's a member at the club. Everybody knows Andrew.
Yeah.
And I had brought modeling pictures when Andrew and you were modeling. So I had them in a big manila envelope, and I happened to throw them in my bag when we went to dinner that night. So now everybody's coming around the table looking at Andrew when he was a child as a child model. So I'm sure he's getting,
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, go on.
Baby.
Keep going.
Let's see. The next day,
better weather. Right?
Totally better weather. We probably should have woken up that early again to watch the sunrise. You would have seen it. But we went to the golf course. I got to teach Rocco how to swing a golf club because I was varsity captain of my high school team.
Mm-hmm.
My dad and my brother taught me a lot about golf growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, just like all of the drills that we would do and everything came back to me so much. And I was giggling to myself thinking like, wow, a lot of these things that, my dad and my brother would teach me, it totally works. And there's this hot dog one that my dad would say, pretend that you're trying to scoop up a hot dog. Like the ball isn't circular. Imagine it's like in the shape of a hot dog and you have to start,
Really? I don't know that.
by like kind of like hitting it, before the ball a little bit. And so I was just lending out all of this advice and all of these things, and his swing completely transformed because, when you're like, oh, like when you watch the pros do it, you're like, that's so easy. I mean, they get paid for just swinging a club. But when you actually are like trying to hit the ball, just hitting the ball is the hard part. You actually have to make contact with it. There's so much complexity within a golf swing that people don't realize. And you have to work at it. And so anyway, we
played golf a couple days.
Played golf for a few days. We then, to celebrate my brother's birthday, we went on this incredible boat called the Hinckley. And it's like a custom wood boat. It's a yacht, on the smaller side, but the coolest part about it, I don't even think I needed my Dramamine because it's not a propeller boat. It's a jet boat. And I didn't know anything about this boat until like the captain's literally telling us about it. It was the smoothest ride I have ever been on in a boat. It was like a Cadillac. Like you hit a pothole, but it just kind of feels like a little whoosh. Yeah. Doesn't even like plunk. Doesn't feel like anything. We got to toast our champagne on this beautiful boat in this beautiful harbor, and the fog was completely gone that day. So it was just bright and sunny.
Sky.
We could see the wildlife. We could see the cranes, all the, the sea dogs, the seals. We went into the like underneath the bridges and throughout all these different harbors. What else did we do? We did stop by the bookstore that you wanted, but they were closed because I noticed that some of the stores in Booth Bay don't even have hours listed. I was like, they're like, oh, kind of like we're gonna be here when we're here type of attitude. And it was amazing. The food was incredible. All of the fresh fish.
Yeah. And then time to leave.
Yep. And then before we knew it, it was time to leave. So, it was a great trip, and Maine is totally underrated, everybody. It is absolutely beautiful. And it is a vacation, because it's
a sleepy lobster town.
Everything closes super early. You don't, there's no noise, there's no cars, but everyone's walking around, everyone says hi. It was really nice.
It's sweet.
Pleasant.
Sweet.
Yes. So I think that's a wrap for our episode today. Thank you everyone for listening, and make sure to give us those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcast. Send it to your friends and family, and email me, alex@intentionbeads.com, with any feedback. I will shout you out here on the podcast. So thanks everyone for listening. We will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
And so you finally know you control where you go.